Hari Om to everybody. Welcome from Manjakudi and back in the south at Swamiji's birthplace. Very beautiful place to be. Maybe all of you who have not seen the place can visit sometime in future. So we'll begin with our opening prayers and the invocatory prayer verses of Tattvabodha and Vivekachudamani. Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So we had finished seeing the śarīrābhimānī. The śarīrābhimānī is the methodology of examining the three bodies. So a human being is considered as having not just the sthūla shariram, not just the physical body, but a human being has three bodies: the sukshma shariram, subtle body, and the karana shariram. So we had seen last time the karana shariram, and that it is the cause, it is the potential for the other two bodies. So everything we saw is carried in the karana shariram. And this is again prakriyas. These are different methodologies of unfolding the one truth. So ultimately, Shariratraya from one viewpoint, it does exist, and many of the things that Shastra unfolds, actually we can match with our own experience in life. But ultimately, the Shariratraya is not us. We are more than the Shariratraya. Atma is much more than the three bodies. So these are just methodologies to unfold that Atma is unaffected by the causal body, unaffected by Sukshma, unaffected by the Sthula, because it is a different order of reality. So to account for our various experiences in life, All of these methodologies are brought in to examine. So the next examination, I would say it's an examination of experience, is called AVASTHAA Vichara. AVASTHAA Vichara is the examining the 3 states of experience which, again, each human being undergoes. We undergo 3 states of experience while living on this planet. And these 3 states of experience are also linked to the Sharīratraya. You can see how they're linked very easily. What are first these 3 states? Very simple. Shastra is not pointing out something that is something new that we have to understand, something new to gain. It is actually examining our life. That's the beauty of Vedanta. It examines your life and asks you to analyze your life to see, what am I doing and what is this all about? So the 3 states are also very obvious. We go through waking state. Right now, I hope everybody's in waking state listening to this class. Waking state is one of the states that we go through. And most of the time we're in waking state, really. We should be in waking state. If there's a lot of tamas, then we'll probably be in sleep state. Even when we're meant to be in waking state, we might be in sleep state. But waking state means the gross body, the subtle gross body predominates the waking state, because the gross body is, I'm active with the gross body. But this waking state, we will see the other 2 bodies also are included in waking state. And the author will go on to examine what the waking state is. Again, linking to our own experience of life. The dream state, which body is most active? The sukshma sharira, the subtle body, is most active in dream state, because the gross body is lying on the bed. The gross body may be lying anywhere and the gross body is sleeping, but something may be happening in the dream. Dream is all activities which are happening in your mind, in your projected world of your mental creation in your mind. We're going to examine that. And for that mental creation world to happen, you have to have the subtle body active. So predominantly in the dream state, subtle body is active for human beings. And in the dream sleep state, what body is active? It is, of course, the predominant body in the deep sleep state, is causal body, karana shariram, because everything gets resolved in potential. That the individual that was available in the waking state, the other individual that you have created in the dream state, both get absorbed in the causal form in the deep sleep state. So actually, deep sleep state is linked to karana shariram, because there is no individuality, no duality in deep sleep. The world is as good as non-existent for you, because no senses to interact with the world. I thought itself is resolved. Your individuality is gone. All your problems are gone in deep sleep state. You become potential. And because the problems are gone, actually in deep sleep, as we saw, you're experiencing ananda. You're in bliss. Ignorance is bliss. You don't know it though. But you do know when if somebody tries to wake you up from very deep sleep, you do not like it. That person is going to be on your hit list, forever. If somebody wakes you up from deep sleep, nobody likes to be woken up, because it's a very, very happy state. So we'll see that ananda, that's another prakriya which will link deep sleep to ananda. So in Tattvabodha, the question again is asked, because we know in Tattvabodha, it is a Q&A. And this Q&A is how most of the Upanishads unfold the knowledge. So the disciple is asking, avasthātrayaṁ kim? What is this 3 states of experience? And the Guru says, jāgratsvapnasuṣuptyavasthāḥ. Very simple. Waking, dream, and deep sleep are the 3 states that we undergo. And this is interesting he will define actually one by one in Tattvabodha, and I have linked Vivekachudamani verses again for extra understanding, extra comprehension. But the main thing one has to notice and you have to understand is that if something is real in life, if we say it's the truth, then it should remain unchanged in all the three states of experience. So in Vedanta, definition of real truth is what? That which does not change in three states of experience in three times. What are the times? Past, present, and future. That which is never changing must be the truth. So definition of truth is that which never changes. Definition of ultimate absolute reality means what? That which never changes. So you have to examine here. This is important to understand because do things change in the states we undergo? What actually changes in the states as I enter from one into another? And this is where I recognize that what I take myself to be is always changing throughout the three states. But there is we say Turiya, in Upanishad, it's called Turiya, fourth state. There is no fourth state here. It is as though fourth, but there is something which exists in all the three states of experience, which is untouched by the changes of the three states of experience. And that is you. That consciousness which lights up the three states is you. That's your reality. So anyway, we're going to examine that further. The idea of this vichara, this inquiry, is to understand that you are the witness of the three states. But first, we have to understand the three states, and this is where Tattvabodha says, examines the states, beginning with jāgradavasthā ka. So the question he asks, what is this waking state? Very simple. śrotrādijñānendriyaiḥ śabdādiviṣayaiśca jñāyate iti yatsa jāgradavastha sthūla śarīrābhimānī ātmā viśva ityucyate. So we're going to see in the same line as this Tattvabodha verse, the Vivekachudamani verse 89 talks about this. And what does the Vivekachudamani say about the waking state? The first verse is 89. 89. Bahendriyaihi sthūla padartha sevam śrachandanastrayādivichitrarūpam karoti jiva swayametadatmana tasmat prashastirvapushosya jāgare. So in this verse, he says, the ego identifying with this body-mind-sense complex enjoys all the things of this world. What are these things? He has included some things here, but of course it is just upalakshana. It just stands for all the objects we enjoy. Shrak, Chandana, Stri, and Vichitra Rupam. So garlands. So in those days, garlands meaning any kind of nice smell, anything which is enticing, alluring. Why, garlands in those days, they used to probably dress up with garlands. It was considered a very, nice ornamentation for a human being. Sandal paste, which is Chandana and Stri, women. So he's included all of these. Women also come into the picture. So you enjoy gross objects as garlands, sandal paste, women, etc. Many, many names and forms. So of course you can add your own list. This is Adi Shankara's list because he is the one who has written Vivekachudamani. So these are things he probably was drawn to and he has given as examples. But everybody, any object you can include. But he says endless variety by the means of the sense organs. So you enjoy endless variety of things because the sense organs become active. And therefore he says, tasmat prashastir vapushosya jāgare, which means that this physical body has the greatest role in the waking state. So the physical body, including the sense powers, sense organs that go out, that has a great role in the waking state. Of course, we saw that the subtle body has to go with the physical for actual enjoyment to happen, because you have to have the powers behind the senses, which again, the powers are the ones that bring in the taste, the sound, the knowledge of sound, the knowledge of taste, the knowledge of smell, the knowledge of name and form, all of this that brings in. So first he asks, jāgradavasthā ka? What is the waking state? Very easy. This is the state where we make decisions. If you look, this is a state of decision. This is a state where we have free will, which is totally active here. See, we can choose in this waking state, and this becomes a very important thing, because in dream state, can you choose? I mean, there are some people that think you can choose your dreams and everything, but Shastra doesn't believe that. You can't, unless you have some powers. If you develop siddhis, you can manipulate your mind to do anything. But most of humanity doesn't have that type of power. We cannot choose our dreams. We go to sleep, something comes up. And we cannot choose whether it's a joyful one. I don't go to sleep at night thinking, I want to dream about winning the lottery. I want to dream about building a nice dream house. I want to dream about getting all this. And then the dream that appears in the dream state. If that happens, then you're extremely lucky if it happens, but generally it doesn't. Sometimes I may end up in a nightmare, in the jungle somewhere, tied up, chased by tigers. I go with Sankalpa into the dream state. I want to win the lottery. And then I come out in the morning, sweating profusely because, I was a beggar in the jungle. I had no money, no food, with all wild animals surrounding me. So no choice at all in dream state, okay? So jāgradavasthā means it is the state of choices. And if it's a state of choices, means you are fully awake, fully alive. And that is where Shastra gives the name viśva. Viśva to the individual in the waking state. Viśva means complete. Here he says that sthūla śarīrābhimānī ātmā viśva ityucyate in the Tattvabodha. The sthūla sharira, we are identified with this gross body, with the physical body, and Atma identified with the physical body. And of course, the sukshma goes along with the physical body for you to recognize all the enjoyments. You are called viśva, which means complete. Complete. All your shariras are active. And because your mind is active in the waking state, your intellect is active in the waking state, you become an individualized entity in waking state. And in dream and in sleep, you're not individualized entity actually. In dream, you're a different individual, but this individualized entity with its history, name, form, with its problems, issues, with its relationships, only in waking state. You look at it. Otherwise, it doesn't exist in the other two states you go through. So the sthūla and sukshma make you a complete person. Karana, of course, is there always with you because your karmas are unfolding second by second. Your karma is unfolding in the waking state, right? You can only exhaust your karma in the waking state. Some karma can be exhausted in dream state, but not as much as in waking state. Because you're fully alive, making choices, waking state is the place to exhaust punya and papa karma. So what are you in the waking state? You are karta, the doer. I am the doer is very much there in waking state. So you choose to do some action, you choose not to do some action, and you choose also to do action the way you want to do it. Okay. So this waking state is where moksha can happen. You cannot get moksha in dream state. It's like, people, when you go into dream, again, you can't dream. Oh, in dream, let me gain moksha. I don't have to make any effort. Let me in dream, I'll go to sleep and then I'll go into dream state and let me become Jivan Mukta in dream state and wake up with enlightenment. No, it doesn't work. Why? Because you have to choose moksha. And choice, we know, only happens in waking state. You have to choose to know yourself. You can't choose to know yourself in dream or in deep sleep. So the viśva that the human being is, it experiences the whole jagat, śrotrādijñānendriyaiḥ jñāyate, through your, the jnanendriyas, very easy to understand. You recognize in the waking state the external world through all your sense perception, and you act in the waking world through your organs of action. Okay, so body is built for you to gain the knowledge of the external world and to react with that knowledge with your karma indriyani, which is your organs of actions. And through this type of interaction with the external world, what happens? You have experiences of pleasure and pain. So if you touch fire, experience of pain. And if you touch something else, experience of pleasure. Nice fluffy cat is there. You stroke that cat, there's an experience of pleasure. So all through your waking state, you're going through experiences of pleasure and pain because of how you are responding to the world. Okay, this has to be very clear. The world is not creating pleasure and pain for you. How you are responding to the world creates pleasure and pain for you. Okay, so this is the waking state. You become identified with the sense powers, sense organs, and the organs of action, and you experience sense objects in the world, including people. And what happens as you experience? This is also interesting. The mind and intellect being very active in waking state, as you experience waking state, things get recorded, experiences get recorded. Your experiences of pleasure get recorded in the memory. Okay, you have a recording device already in your set in your mind, and the recording device, as soon as you wake up in the morning, what happens? You press record button. Without you knowing, it is on record. And when you wake up and you press the record button, what happens? All the experiences that you get are being recorded. And some get erased immediately because they're not important. Some, most of it gets erased. How do we know? Because if I ask you, in 1983, on Monday, the 3rd of January, what did you have for dinner? Will you be able to tell? Unless you've written it out in your journal, you will not remember. You will not remember so many things. But what do you remember? You remember intense pleasure, intense pain. You remember two types of experiences. The ones that raga, that you were drawn to, and dvesha, that you had to run away from. Generally, those are the ones that are recorded in the mind. And that's why it becomes dangerous. Dangerous meaning spiritually dangerous, I call it. When those recordings are there, from childhood it gets recorded, right? Painful experience, recorded. Pleasurable experience, recorded. And the more I go after the same pleasurable experiences, what happens? We create something called vasana. And this is what he mentions here. You create something called vasana in the waking state. This vasana is very important because it actually is connected to your dream state. This vasana is very important because it's actually connected also to future lives. So the more you record, re-record, you keep recording again and again the same thing in your chittam, in your memory, what happens? You create a habit. Okay, it becomes a habit to you. So suppose you keep eating, you eat first time, child, it tries some peanut butter. First time it's trying, there is a pleasurable experience in the child's mind. Peanut butter, fantastic. Then what does it want? It wants second time peanut butter. Then you give peanut butter again. Then it wants third time peanut butter. So peanut butter gets registered, and then what happens? I love peanut butter. Peanut butter gives me pleasure. Okay. So it becomes a pleasurable thing. Because of memory, you link with pleasure and you want to repeat the experience of pleasure. Suppose there's another, the same child, it's, I always think of Marmite. Marmite is a very British thing. You either hate Marmite or you love Marmite. It's like Vegemite in Australia. It's an acquired taste. I myself, I remember, I could not stand Marmite when I was growing up. Suddenly, when I was about 14 or something, I started loving Marmite. I didn't know, my tongue craved for Marmite. So you never know when that type of change can also happen. But again, it's registered. When you register something, I don't like, I don't like, I don't like, it turns into vasana. And these vasanas become defining for us. They define the individual. We are actually riddled, because of our experiences in the waking state, we are riddled with vasanas that govern our living in throughout our lives. So, why is it important? It is important because the dream state is also based on certain vasanas, certain objects I have come to accept in the waking state. The dream state, sometimes things that I cannot experience, I have intense desires in the waking state. I'm not able to experience them in the waking. I sometimes can experience in the dream as well. So this sthūla śarīrābhimānī, viśva, means the one who experiences the whole waking state and gathers a lot of these habitual thinking, habitual behaviors, likes and dislikes through entertaining memories of pleasure and pain associated in your mind. Then the next, here he says this in the Vivekachudamani, he had said this in the same thing. This is the gross body with the sukshma shariram to experience, you experience the waking state. Then what happens in the dream state? In fact, dream state is given, most beautiful state, dream state is actually given to us to understand the reality of the waking state. Shastra says eventually this waking state is also a dream. So and it does analysis to explain why the waking state ultimately is also dream. But first, let us see what Tattvabodha says. Tattvabodha, first of all, the question comes from the student. Swapna avastha keti chet jāgradavasthāyaṁ yat drishtam yat shrutam tajjanita vasanaya nidra samaye yah prapanchah pratiyate sa svapnāvastha sukshma śarīrābhimānī ātmā taijasa ityucyate. So this is again very simple definition of the dream state, and we're going to see what this means. In the similar line in Vivekachudamani, verse 98, Bhashyakara, the Adi Shankaracharya says, Swapno bhavatyasya vibhaktyavastha swamatra sheshena vibhati yatra swapne tu buddhi swayameva jagrat kalina nana kalina nana vidavasanabihi. Verse 98, he says, this dream state is when the subtle body is predominant. Subtle body alone is predominant in the dream state, and it is active without your volition. So you are not there actually in dream state. Your I is dormant, because to enter dream state, if you think about it, how do we go into dream? Do we suddenly, I just say to myself, I'm going to go into dream state and I jump into dream? No. I have to enter another state to enter dream. So he says that in Tattvabodha, through nidra, through sleep alone, you enter the dream state. So the first thing is to sleep. Once I sleep, the I is asleep, Then dream happens. Dream is a happening. Dream, I is asleep. I is dormant. So I cannot choose my dream. And here he says that the subtle body expresses by itself. Swamatra sheshena vibhati yatra. It manifests by itself. It expresses by itself. And what does it express? Swapne buddhis swayameva jagrat. The intellect, this buddhi, the intellect, here we can include all the mind, the memories, everything. It is the one that revels in the experience. So you don't feel anything in your physical body in the dream state, do you? I mean, even if you do, even if there's physical sensations, are we aware of it in dream state? We are not, because we're in sleep. So we're not aware of the physical body, but then how do we experience the joy and pain in the dream state? Very interesting. Joy and pain are experienced here in your mind alone. So the mind itself shines in the dream state, and all your experiences of joy and pain, because in dream state we seem to experience the same as in waking state. But what's the difference? In dream state, I have a dream body. I have dream experiences, which may be, a whole lifetime I can live in the dream. And only 1 hour, when I wake up, only 1 hour has gone by in waking state, right? Whole lifetime I lived with all the ups and downs. And sometimes I feel sad in the dream. Sometimes I feel happy in the dream. Again, I have interactions. Sometimes I'm fighting with my wife in the dream. I'm shouting at her. I suddenly wake up and I see my wife has brought me breakfast in bed. And the same wife I was shouting at in my dream. So all things can happen in dream. And, it could be a projection of my own mind. In fact, it is projection of my own mind. And why is it a projection? So he says here, and Vivekachudamani and Tattvabodha both say, Tat janita vasanaya. It is born of vasanas. And kalina nana vida vasana bihi. In the same Vivekachudamani, he says, whatever you have impressions you have gathered during the time of waking manifests in your dream. See, it may not necessarily be the impressions that you have gathered on that particular day when you go to sleep. It could be impressions that you even gathered from previous lives. Sometimes Purva Janma also can manifest in your dream, vasanas that you have gathered. Sometimes your dream could make no sense. We never know what is going to happen. So all we know, there is a rule. Every experience which is backed by strong emotion will definitely create an imprint on your recorder in the waking state. Okay, this is very important to understand, with the backing of strong emotion. So when you have an emotional backing to the experience, definitely you will have recording in your mind. Your chittam, it's recorded. So vasana means exactly this. It is not deliberately memorized by you sometimes. It is not automatically memorized by you, your experiences sometimes. Sometimes, when even somebody having a verbal outburst, things like this. That's why when we think about reaction in waking state, especially in relationships, that's where we create imprints. It's our duty not to create negative imprints on people's minds. Duty meaning it is my adherence to ahimsa. Non-hurting means what? I don't create negative, as much as possible, negative imprints on people's mind which can hurt them in future. It can damage them in future. That is how I learned also to manage my reactions and my interactions with others. Once I realize I'm creating this strong impression in somebody's mind, which can linger, which can damage the person for their future, I will definitely be more alert. Of course, we are not saints. We're not immediately saints, but with the knowledge, we can learn to reduce our reactiveness to help others. We don't want to be a source of pain in future for others. So this, and we also don't want other people to be source of pain for us. So that is why we are responsible to let in or keep out other people's behaviors as well. If I allow them to enter my mind, what happens? I create a strong imprint in my buddhi. And that strong imprint I carry, I don't know, it may get exhausted in the dream, but generally it doesn't. Generally, we carry that imprint in our memory, and all our interactions in future are because of the past imprint on that memory. Yeah. You can see it is not, I'm seeing the person as they are in this moment. Am I ever seeing the person as they are in this moment? Hardly ever. I always have this imprint of their past behavior in my mind, in my memory. And sometimes I react to that imprint. I don't react to the person. I deal with the imprint in my mind. I don't deal with the person outside. And that's where we destroy our relationships many a time. We are not able to see the person as they are in that moment because imprints are created. So it is our responsibility, first of all, to not create negative imprints on other people's mind, psyche. At the same time, protect myself not to create negative imprint on my psyche. And that is going to happen only through knowledge. We cannot become like Teflon, like Swamiji used to say. We cannot become non-stick without practice. Practice makes perfect in all areas. I'm alert. Other people's anger, everything, I realize it is their stuff. I don't need to internalize. That's why we say don't internalize other people's behavior. Don't internalize unpleasant situations. You learn to keep situations external. They are external. Who is taking them in? They are outside you, right? Situations are always external. Whatever I experience is external. We saw in waking state, what I'm dealing with is external to me. But why do I allow it in? That is where I have to manage my mind. I have to learn to have that willpower, that strength to be able to manage non-internalization of externals. Because again, your internalizing comes up in dreams. Some people have strong dreams because of waking state experiences. So the experience for the dream, the material for your dream is your waking state experience. This is what is said here. And he asked, swapna avastha keti chet. What is the swapna avastha? The swapna avastha is created by you. Amazing. Swapna avastha is given to us, the dream state, to show I am Ishvara there. Ishvara means what? I am the material cause for the dream. I am also the intelligent cause for my dream. Dream originates from me. I'm the intelligence for the dream. I also provide the material for the dream through my experience. Amazing. So the projected world of dream is due to myself alone. And this is important to understand because in waking state also, it is a projected world of my own. This is what Shastra says. I can't recognize it now. But if you recognize it, you are a jnani, you are a liberated person, Jivan Mukta. The whole waking state is also a projection of the mind. The mind in Vivekachudamani will see a bit more. But he says here, jāgradavasthāyaṁ yet drishtam yet shrutam, whatever is heard and seen in the waking state, whatever you experience in the waking state, it comes out in the dream state. And yet prapanchaha pratiyate sa svapnāvastha. This dream world is experienced for you because you die to the waking world. And this dream world, how long does it last? It lasts as long as that prarabdha is meant to get exhausted in the dream state. It lasts as long as your experience is meant to get exhausted. Then there is a saying in Sanskrit, swakale satyavat bhati. During the experience of dream, it seems very real, right? When you go through the dream, what happens? You undergo all the experiences, the emotions that you have in waking state. Same thing. Maybe different scenarios happen in dream, but in waking state, you have relative control, you have relative management. In dream state, are you managing? No. In dream state, you are projecting a self, a ahankara there in dream state, which is not the same self maybe in the waking state. It is a projection of yourself. But while in dream, you have total identification with the dream world. You are totally identified with dream objects. But what happens when you wake up? Swakale satyavat bhati. Swakale satyavat bhati means it seems real while it lasts. It seems very real while it lasts. And why is that important? Because when you wake up, what happens to your dream? It is, even if you remember your dream, what happens? You falsify the dream. It is false. It is seen as false. What do you say? Suppose you had a very, not so very pleasant dream. Ah, thank God it was only a dream, right? You wake up and say, thank God it's only a dream. In the same way, this waking state is also a dream. This whole waking experience is considered dream. And waking up happens with knowledge. In knowledge, when you wake up, there is a greatest sigh of relief. What do you say to yourself? Thank God it's only a dream. It is a mere dream that I had to undergo. Either when waking up through knowledge or when you leave this body, you will see this is a dream. Of course, when you leave, where is all the attachment? Where are all the all the problems? Where are all the issues that you felt are so real in the waking state? Everything is gone. In a whiff, it's gone. When the sukshma is ejected, when the landlord ejects the tenant from the physical body, because the landlord is Ishvara. And when he ejects the sukshma, we don't know when he is going to say, now your time is over. You can't pay any more rent. I'm reclaiming the house. He will say, reclaiming that house. Now, bye-bye, go to your new home. When he tells that, you will see, what is this waking state? What is all the problems all these issues that I found to be so real? Where does it matter to me now? Where does it matter to anybody else as well? Everything is left behind here. Your objects that you're so attached to left behind, the people you're so attached to left behind, all the situations you wanted to run away from, also there left in time. So many dreams just falsified in that waking up. It is exactly like waking up from the dream. And this is where you're called Tejasa, Sukshma śarīrābhimānī, ātmā Tejasa ityucyate. This Atma identified with the Sukshma Sharira in dream is given a name. Like in waking state, Atma is given a name viśva, fully awake. In dream, it is given a name Tejasa. The individual is called Tejasa, which means that Tejo Maya Antahkarana Vritti. The individual is in the form of thought. Only thoughts shine in the dream. You're not fully viśva, because the sthūla shariram is lying down. It is being taken care of by natural order of prana. Bhagavan is taking care of the sthūla shariram. You need not do anything. Are you doing anything when you go to sleep? How beautiful even to see that Bhagavan is taking care of you. He is making the breathing function happen. He is taking care of all the regulation, circulation, heartbeat, everything while you enter dream state or deep sleep state. You don't have to worry. But when you're in dream state, you're in the form of pure thought. So the difference between Tejasa and Viśva is the identification with the different bodies. In Tejasa, you're identified with Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. In Viśva, you're identified with Sthula, Sukshma, and Karana, of course, there as well. In dream, Tejasa includes Karana and Sukshma, but mainly it is Sukshma functioning. So in the next verse of Vivekachudamani, he goes on to say that it is the self, very beautiful verse 99, which is the following verse of Vivekachudamani. And here he says, in this dream state, the self is what shines shines through the intellect, but the intellect is the only limitation because the intellect creates this dream world, but you are witnessing the dream. In the dream state, there is a witness there witnessing the dream. And that witness is not touched by the dream. It is not touched by what the intellect or the mind is projecting. Mind projecting dream self, dream object, dream world, dream. But Atma is lighting up that dream world also. And the dream, whatever is happening in the dream, does not affect that Atma which lights up the dream. We're going to see this more next time. Hari Om, wish you all a very peaceful, non-projection day ahead. Hari Om. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om Namaste. See you soon. Hari Om.